Now, what I want to talk to you about is our proposal for a digital loonie. Just some background. Why are we here? Where does this come from? The Bank of Canada has done research on general purpose CBDCs just as much as on wholesale CBDCs for years. You can go to their website and see all of their research reports. They're extremely insightful and very thoughtful in terms of spelling out under what conditions and how a CBDC should come about and what it would mean, for instance, for our banking sector. Now, in the process of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, what they did is they went out of their own building, if you want, and they sought input from the university sector, aka people like me. And so they put up a challenge, which is the Model X competition. We don't know the details of who's participated and who submitted proposals, but we know that 3 were finalists and selected, and that our proposal was one of them. And this is the one that I want to talk about today. Now, in a very nutshell, let me give you the big items that are part of this proposal. The first question is, should the Bank of Canada do this jointly with the existing commercial banks, our big banks, or should they do it alone? Our firm opinion is they should go alone. Why? Well, it's very difficult to do something this big, designing it by committee. That could easily drag on for years. Look at the payments modernization initiative that is already going on for a very long time. The original projection was that it was completed last year, and we're still 2 years, we have to wait for another 2 years for that to happen. There's also precedent internationally. One of the most successful mobile payment systems is in Denmark. It's mobile pay. That is something that was started as a discussion and a committee by many of the Scandinavian banks. And at some point, Danske Bank had enough and said, we're just going to do it. And they just did it, and it became literally the most successful mobile payment system in the developed world. So, in that sense, I think we firmly believe that it's best the Bank of Canada sets the standards, sets up a system that works and that can accommodate all transactions that are happening in this new digital currency, the CBDL, for all Canadians. Now, this is not where it ends. We believe also that there should be a second phase where the private sector is invited, and we see this building of the first phase really as the building of an infrastructure, a public infrastructure which is there for the benefit of Canadians and also of Canadian businesses that can then build on it and use it and leverage it to provide extra services and to compete on a level playing field. Banks, fintechs, telcos, any number of service providers that have an interest and the ability to provide innovation in the payment space. Now, a critical component of all transactions activities in the digital world is that there needs to be an authentication process so that bad actors have no access to the digital money. It's a sad fact of life that there are, the moment you find an inconvenient payment tool, it is something that can easily be abused by terrorists, foreign entities, spies, and so on and so forth. There's many examples of that. So there has to be a so-called know your client process. We have already very well established processes. In Canada, there's innovation in this space. Some of the provinces will have digital ID initiatives. Our proposal is very strongly to use those activities and use all of them as a part of the process of doing the KYC. And so also we think it is important that there is some form of offline payments, because not everybody will have the ability to a digital device like a smartphone. This is a very, very hard problem. We've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I'm not going to go through all the details here. I'm just going to touch it in broad strokes. We believe that's something that can be done, that there is the technology to do this securely. However, we also believe that in the interest of not enabling terrorist financing and anti-money laundering, that there should be something reserved for small transactions. Now with that, let me go and run you through some of the details by just showing you a few pretty plots.